Welcome. You're joining us for a deep dive into, well, a really high-stakes legal battle. It's certainly grabbed headlines.
Absolutely.
Today, we're trying to cut through some of the noise surrounding, frankly, one of Hollywood's most talked about divorces. We want to unearth the crucial details of this ongoing dispute between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie over their French winery, Château Miraval.
Right. And we're drawing on, the latest reports here, things from Us Weekly, People Magazine, and Mint. They've all been tracking this very closely, every filing, every accusation.
Yeah, it seems like there's a new development almost every other week.
Yeah.
So our mission today is really to go beyond those headlines, pinpoint the core arguments, maybe dissect these latest legal moves.
And help you understand why this whole thing just keeps escalating.
Exactly. What's really at stake here? Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So at the absolute heart of this whole long legal saga is the ownership and, well, the sale of Chateau Miraval. And this isn't just, any old vineyard. It's that beautiful French chateau, the wine estate, that Pitt and Jolie bought together back when they were married.
Exactly. And how they actually structured that ownership is, well, it's key here. Pitt held his share through a company, Mondo Bongo.
Right.
And Jolie held hers through another company, Nouvelle. Now, this is, it's a pretty standard way to handle high-value joint assets.
That makes sense.
It essentially made them business partners through these separate entities. And the sources confirm, after their split in 2016, Jolie eventually looked to sell her part in 2021.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? Because Pitt and his team, they reportedly offered, what was it, $55.4 million for her stake.
That's the figure reported. Yeah, a substantial amount.
But that deal, it just fell apart, famously fell apart.
It did. And instead, Jolie sold her share of Miraval to the Stoli Group's wine division, Tenute del Mondo.
Right. So what's Pitt's main issue with that sale? What's his argument?
Well, Pitt's core claim, which he filed back in February 2022, is basically that Jolie sold her stake without getting his approval.
Okay.
He insists that they had a prior agreement, something that specifically required his consent before she could sell to anyone else. So his legal team sees this as a direct violation, a breach of that agreement, and they're suing to completely undo the sale to Stoli, just wipe it off the book.
Wow, okay. That's a huge claim. To actually try and undo the sale? What's Jolie's response to that specific point about needing his approval?
Well, on her side, Jolie, in her countersuit from September 2022, she flatly denies it. She says, no, she wasn't required to get his approval for the sale. So right there, you have these two fundamentally opposing interpretations of whether that initial deal required consent. And that means the winery's future is, well, it's caught in this legal limbo.
And just when you think, okay, maybe things will settle down, the legal battle takes another sharp turn. It escalated again, didn't it, with something new on June 30th, 2025. That's right. New court documents surfaced, and they show Brad Pitt's team trying to compel, that means force an employee of the Stoli Group, a man named Alexei Olenek, to provide private messages, emails, that sort of thing, and also to appear for a deposition.
A deposition. So that's sworn testimony, right, outside of
Exactly. It's under oath. Crucial for gathering evidence, locking down a witness's story before you even get to trial.
So Pitt's team clearly thinks this guy, Olenek, hold some kind of key piece of the puzzle. What exactly are they hoping his testimony will show?
Well, they argue he has, and this is the quote, firsthand knowledge of the negotiations between Stoli and Jolie's team. And they believe the documents they're asking for go directly to his core claims. Essentially, Pitt's side thinks these records will prove Jolie acted with malice.
Malice, meaning she deliberately sold to Stoli because she knew Pitt wouldn't like it.
That seems to be the implication.
Yeah.
That she sold to a counterparty she knew Pitt opposed, maybe as a way to hurt him, which raises, a big question for the judge. Why is Olenek fighting this? Good question. What's his reason for resisting? What's the argument?
Olenek's argument is jurisdictional. He says, look, I'm a resident of Switzerland.
Okay.
So he argues, a California court can't force me to appear or hand over documents for a case filed there.
Right. The classic, you don't have power over me here, defense.
Exactly. It's a common legal hurdle in international disputes. And the judge hasn't ruled on that motion yet, the legal request for decision. And the outcome of that ruling could really impact Pitt's strategy going forward. If he can't get that testimony, it might weaken his malice argument.
This whole thing, it really isn't just about a winery sale, is it? I mean, it seems so tangled up with these deeper, much more personal accusations. It really highlights the bad blood here.
Oh, absolutely.
Pitt has apparently alleged that Jolie sold her share vindictively, that it was basically payback for their custody battle.
Right. But Jolie, she puts forward a very different narrative for why she backed out of that initial $55 million deal with Pitt.
What's her side of that?
Her legal team claims Pitt tried to force her into signing an $8.5 million non-disclosure agreement, an NDA.
An NDA. Covering what?
Well, they claim it was to cover up years of abuse, including that widely reported incident on a private jet back in 2016.
Wow. Okay, linking the NDA to that is it's a serious claim to make in a business dispute. What do the sources say about the 2016 incident itself?
The reports, they do clarify that authorities investigated it at the time.
Right.
But they didn't press charges. And Jolie didn't pursue any legal action back then either. Pitt, for his part, has denied all the abuse allegations.
Okay.
And interestingly, his lawyer apparently scoffed at the idea, quote unquote, that Jolie backed out because of the NDA.
So Pitt's side doesn't buy the NDA story as a reason?
No. They seem to believe that she and her company, Nouvelle, had already covertly lined up a deal with Stoli Group.
Ah, so they think the Stoli deal was already in the works before the NDA issue came up.
That seems to be their counter-narrative. That the NDA was maybe an excuse, and the real plan was always to sell to Stoli, which is owned by the Russian billionaire Yuri Shefler.
So it's not just Jolie defending against Pitt's claims.
Mm-hmm.
Her side is also firing back with their own accusations, right, about how Pitt managed the winery.
Absolutely. Nouvelle, that's Jolie's company, remember, has filed its own countersuit against Pitt and Mondobongo.
Okay. What are they alleging?
They're accusing Pitt of basically mismanaging Miraval's assets. The claim is he turned Château Miraval into their personal piggy bank.
Strong words.
Yeah. Spending money on vanity projects, things unrelated to the core wine business, and the alleged consequence, that this deprives Stoli of profits after they bought Jolie's share.
I see. So Stoli's basically saying, hey, the asset we bought isn't as profitable as it should be because of Pitt's spending.
That's the gist of that countersuit. Now, Pitt and his company deny all of those allegations, naturally, and they've moved to get that countersuit dismissed. So it's a really tangled web of claims and counterclaims flying back and forth.
So where does this all stand right now? For the former couple, they share 6 kids. Their divorce was finalized, December 2023? After separating way back in 2016.
That's right. The divorce itself is done. But this legal battle over the winery, it remains very much unsettled.
Still ongoing.
Still ongoing. And the sources suggest Pitt and Jolie are gearing up for a trial, a 15-day trial, apparently.
15 days. Wow.
Yeah, though no start date has actually been set yet. So this whole motion about getting Elena's testimony, it's a crucial step in building their cases for that eventual trial.
And there was another interesting twist, wasn't there? Something about NDAs Jolie herself used back in May 2024.
Yes, that was another strategic move. A judge ordered Jolie to submit 8 years' worth of NDAs that she had issued to other people.
Huh. Why would a judge order that? What's the relevance?
Well, it's likely a tactic by Pitt's team. The idea is to potentially show a pattern.
Meaning?
Meaning if Jolie herself regularly used NDAs with similar clauses to the one she objected to signing with Pitt.
It could weaken her argument that his NDA was somehow uniquely unreasonable or abusive.
Exactly. It could suggest, look, this is standard practice, even for you. So it's fascinating, really, how these individual legal skirmishes, the demand for Linux messages, this NDA ruling, they're all pieces of a much larger chess game.
Yeah.
They're all designed to build a specific narrative, a compelling story, for when they finally get in front of that judge or jury at trial.
We've definitely navigated some complex territory here. The legal claims, the counterclaims around this Pitt-Jolie winery dispute, it goes way beyond just a property squabble, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You've got allegations of betrayal, secret deals, then claims of abuse, mismanagement. It's clear this is incredibly personal, playing out very publicly in the courts.
And the case is, like we said, very much ongoing. There are significant legal steps still pending. That motion about Alexei Linnik's testimony, for example, is still waiting for a judge's decision. It really just highlights how incredibly difficult it is to untangle not just the assets, but these deeply personal stories and accusations, especially when you have high-value joint ventures like this.
Yeah, this whole deep dive really shows how these celebrity legal fights involve so many layers. You've got corporate strategy, international law aspects like with the Swiss resident, and all this intense personal history unfolding for everyone to see. The key takeaway, I think, isn't just about who ultimately gets control of the winery.
No, it's bigger than that.
It really demonstrates the sheer complexity of separating intertwined lives and fortunes, especially at this level. And, it might even set some kind of precedent for how these high-profile, high-value breakups are handled legally down the road. Makes you wonder what the true lasting impact of these long, drawn-out disputes will be on everyone involved, beyond just the legal outcome.